again, friends. Welcome into Gamecock Central Radio. GamecockCentral.com presents Gamecock Central Radio with Gamecock great Kip Bouknight. I'm your host, Emerson Phillips, and we are coming to you from the Gamecock Central studios. The Gamecocks getting set for the final series of the regular season. Carolina headed to Alabama this weekend for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday action. Last 3 games of SEC play, and it's a huge series because the Gamecocks trail Florida by 1 game in the SEC East standings. The Gamecocks 17-9 in SEC play this year. Florida's 18-8, and Alabama's playing good ball right now. So, Kip, we talked about how impressive Texas A&M was. The Gamecocks ran into a very hot and good Texas A&M team this past weekend. A&M took 2 out of 3 from the Gamecocks in Columbia, and the Gamecocks had only lost 2 games at home all year prior to the Texas A&M series. But A&M's pitching was outstanding, and they were a quality ball club, and South Carolina dropped 2 out of 3 to the number 2 ranked team in the country. But the important thing to keep in mind here is that South Carolina is still in the hunt for an SEC championship, and that will be the focal point this weekend as the Gamecocks travel to Alabama.
Yeah, it is, Emerson. I mean, you look back at just what this team was expected to do, and no one predicted South Carolina to be even in the hunt for an SEC title. So, you know, it's disappointing coming off of Texas A&M losing 2 or 3 at home, but it's not like you're losing to an opponent that's just not worthy. I mean, Texas A&M is a team that could easily win a national championship. So South Carolina's in a great position. They've just got to get hot at the right time. And, you know, we said that before, but South Carolina has put themselves in a position that I don't know if even the coaches could have predicted. And I say that with all due respect because South Carolina is obviously a great program, but South Carolina was not a very good team last year. You know, let's be honest. And, you know, just looking at where they are now, I have to give a lot of credit to Chad Holbrook and the staff because they've done a wonderful job giving themselves a chance to win in the SEC and even have a conversation about postseason play. And South Carolina deserves a lot of credit for that. So hopefully, again, they can get hot and finish the season really, really well.
Yeah, the Gamecocks obviously missed the NCAA tournament last year for the first time in a very long time. So for them to get to this point in the season, you know, we were entering the final 2 weekends of the SEC season, and the Gamecocks were tied for first in the East, and still now with just 3 games left in league play, trailing Florida by just the 1 game. Florida playing at LSU. LSU's playing good ball of late. They're 17-10 in the league, and anytime you go to Baton Rouge, that's obviously going to be a very tough series. So Florida could have some trouble with the Tigers when they go to Baton Rouge this weekend, and the Gamecocks are still in the hunt in the SEC East. Now, the problem, Kip, is that Bama's playing good ball as well. Bama just swept 3 at Arkansas, and they took 2 out of 3 from Auburn the weekend prior. So Bama's playing good ball, and they're playing for their postseason hopes as well.
Yeah, they certainly are, and Alabama's certainly not an easy place to play. But, you know, Florida having to go to LSU, that's certainly not an easy place to play. We all know that. So it's, you know, South Carolina, regardless of what happens in LSU against Florida, South Carolina needs to take 2 out of 3 against Alabama, if not sweep it, to take some momentum into the SEC tournament and get ready for postseason play.
Kip, you can't really focus on Florida. You can't worry about what Florida does. The Gamecocks need to worry about the Gamecocks, and this Bama series will start at 8 o'clock Eastern on Thursday night. Clark Schmidt will be the starter for South Carolina. He's been an outstanding pitcher all season to open weekend play, and you start with Game 1 against Alabama and try to win Game 1, and you can set yourself up for a big weekend if you can win that first ball game. So talk about the importance of, you know, kind of staying in the moment and not getting caught up in what's at stake and what's on the line this weekend.
Well, you know, I think this is a player's weekend. I really do. Not to look past the sizzle and not to really, you know, just be in a scenario where Alabama is just not a good ball club. Alabama's playing for their postseason hopes, and South Carolina needs to do everything they can to just, you know, play South Carolina baseball and be hungry, play with a lot of fearlessness, and just go after each and every inning they can, and just play with a lot of heightened awareness. And you know, this is a weekend that they can really, really trying to make a statement and get ready for the SEC tournament and postseason play.
Yeah, Bama's probably playing its best ball of the season right now, and 3 games over 500. Alabama at 15-12 in the league. You got to feel like they are a tournament team, but they can solidify that with a good series this weekend against South Carolina. So we expect a good matchup for the Gamecocks and Alabama. Thursday night, 8 o'clock Eastern first pitch, Friday at 8 first pitch, and then Saturday at 3 p.m., and that will set the stage for the SEC Conference Tournament coming up next weekend. So, Kip, an exciting year for Gamecock baseball, especially coming off of what was a disappointing year last year. The Gamecocks still with a chance to win a conference championship, an Eastern Division championship going into the last weekend of the season. You can't ask for much more than that. It's been a heck of a year.
No, you can't. I mean, again, I think it's easy for fans to kind of get caught up into the moment and go, gosh, South Carolina's there in the top 10 and, here we want this, we want that. And don't get me wrong, I can guarantee you Chad Holbrook, the coaches, the other coaches, the players, the fans, we all want the best. We all want to win the national championship, and there's nothing wrong with shooting for that. But for this team to be in the position they're in, I can just encourage fans to just be not satisfied, because South Carolina players, coaches are not satisfied, but to be just very appreciative of being able to reload. And that's what Chad Holbrook's done. He's reloaded this year and put South Carolina at least in the conversation of an SEC title in the last 2 weeks of the season, which I think is remarkable. If you look back at this and say South Carolina won 2 out of 3 this weekend, and then let's say they go win 2 out of 3 or maybe sweep Alabama in the final series, we're talking about Chad Holbrook being potentially SEC Coach of the Year. So, this team is 1 or 2 wins away from just being in an amazing position. So, a lot of good things have happened for South Carolina baseball in their program this year, and a lot of good things can come. It's just going to depends on how they finish off.
Starting pitching's been fantastic. Gamecocks starting 2 freshmen on the weekend, and the Will Crow injury, figured to be a major setback coming into the year, but pitching has been a strength of this team all year. So hats off to Chad Holbrook and his Gamecock ball club. They'll head to Alabama with a chance to win the East, and we'll have plenty more coverage of that series here on Gamecock Central Radio. And when we rejoin you on Gamecock Central Radio, we'll be talking Gamecock postseason baseball. Gamecock Central Radio with Kip Bouknight. Kip, thanks for the update and your time as always.
Thank you, Emerson. Go Gamecock.
That's Kip Bouknight, Gamecock great. Twice a week he's with us here on Gamecock Central Radio. I'm Emerson Phillips, and we will be talking postseason baseball when we return on Gamecock Central Radio. Thanks for joining us.